Hey guys, tonight we are heading out to the quiet, rolling hills of the old English countryside. We're going to a time and place where the sky is vast and dark and full of stars, and the only sounds are the gentle sigh of the wind and the soft cropping of grass by a flock of sheep. We're going to walk beside an old shepherd and his clever dog as they guide their flock through the deep, peaceful silence of a starry night. Are you ready in your warm bed? I hope you're all snuggled in and feeling wonderfully cozy. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's always so wonderful to see where you all are listening from, so feel free to leave your city or country and the local time in the comments. It makes our quiet little community feel connected across the globe. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The sun has long since bled away beyond the dark, rounded hills, leaving the sky a canvas of deep, velvety indigo. You are Arthur, an old shepherd, and you are sitting with your back against a dry stone wall that feels cool, even through your thick woolen coat. The air is crisp and clean and smells of damp earth, of lanolin from the wool of your flock, and of the wild thyme you are sitting on. Below you, in the gentle, sloping pasture, your flock of sheep graze peacefully in the gathering twilight. At your feet, his head resting on your boot, lies Pip. He is your border collie, your working partner, your silent companion. His eyes are closed, but you know he is not truly asleep. His ears twitch, catching every tiny sound, the rustle of a mouse in the wall, the distant hoot of an owl. He is at rest, but he is always ready. You are finishing your supper, a simple meal that has been the supper of shepherds in these hills for 1,000 years. It is a thick hunk of dark, crusty bread, a wedge of hard, sharp cheese, and a wrinkled apple from the tree behind your small cottage. You eat slowly, methodically, looking out over your flock of 50. Quiet, woolly souls. This is your life's work, your inheritance from your own father. For centuries, the backbone of England's wealth was not gold or iron, but wool. The wool from sheep like these was prized in all the markets of Europe. Kings and merchants grew rich on it, and it all began here, on these quiet, wind-swept hills, with a flock, a dog, and a quiet man like yourself. As you chew the last of your bread, you begin your evening ritual. It is time to count the flock. You do not simply count 1, 2, 3. You use the old way, the shepherd's score, a rhyming, rhythmic counting system that is far older than the English language you speak. It is a piece of ancient music, a Celtic or Brythonic whisper from a time long past. You look out over the sheep and begin to chant, your voice a low, soft murmur on the quiet air. Yun, Tun, Tethera, Methera, Pimp, that's 5, Sethera, Lethera, Hovera, Dovera, Dick, that's 10. You continue the quiet, lulling chant, your eyes scanning the flock, touching each sheep with your gaze as you count them. The sheep, so familiar with the sound of your voice, continue to graze peacefully, their soft, tearing sounds as they crop the grass, a gentle accompaniment to your counting. You finish the count. All are present. All are safe. You look down at Pip. He opens one eye and looks up at you as if to confirm your count. The bond between you is a thing of deep, quiet understanding. You rarely need to speak to him in full sentences. A low whistle, a soft click of the tongue, a slight nod of your head. That is all he needs. He is a master of his craft, the herding eye. Ethologists who study canine behavior will debate the precise origins of this trait, this intense, hypnotic stare that a good sheepdog uses to control a flock. Is it a modified hunting instinct, a form of predatory stalking, or something else entirely? You do not know the science. You only know that when Pip lowers his head and stares, the most stubborn of ewes will obey his silent command. He is a magician, and the sheep are under his spell. As you sit, the last of the twilight fades and the true night arrives, and with it, the stars. With no moon tonight, and no glow from any distant city to spoil the view, the sky becomes a breathtaking spectacle. A billion sharp, brilliant, diamond-like points of light are scattered across the deep, black velvet. The great, dusty silver river of the Milky Way is so clear it looks as if you could reach up and trail your fingers in it. You lean your head back against the cold stones, and you read the sky, a map you know as well as the hills themselves. You see the familiar shape of the plow, and you follow its pointers to find the steadfast North Star. You see the great Tatipku of Cassiopeia, the Queen's throne. It is a clear, windless, and beautiful night, and you make a decision. It is a perfect night to move the flock. The pasture here has been well grazed. There is a new pasture waiting for them, a sweet, rich patch of grass in a sheltered valley a few miles to the north. To move the sheep during the heat of the day would be stressful for them, but to move them now in the cool of the night, guided by the familiar light of the stars, will be a calm, quiet, and peaceful journey. You finish the last of the cool tea from your flask, screw the cap back on, and stand up, your old bones creaking in protest for a moment. You stretch, looking up at the vast, starry sky. Pip stands up with you, instantly alert, his body tense with anticipation, his intelligent eyes fixed on your face, waiting for the signal. You look out at your flock. They are beginning to settle for the night. Their quiet grazing finished, many are lying down now, their woolly bodies dark, soft mounds in the starlight. It seems a shame to disturb them, but the new pasture awaits. You give Pip a low, soft whistle, a single, clear note. It is the signal to begin, gather them. Without a sound, Pip detaches himself from your side and melts into the darkness. You watch as he begins a wide, circling run around the edge of the entire flock. He does not bark. He does not nip. He simply appears, a silent, dark shape, applying a gentle, invisible pressure that is enough to get the sleeping sheep to their feet. They rise, one by one, with low, questioning bleats, and begin to huddle together, forming a single, tight, living mass. You take up your shepherd's crook, its smooth, polished wood familiar and comforting in your hand. You stand at the head of the flock, ready to lead them. The journey is about to begin. A quiet procession of 100 souls, a man and his dog, moving across the silent, sleeping hills, guided only by the ancient, silent light of the stars. You take a deep breath of the cold, clean night air, take up your shepherd's crook, and begin to walk, with a quiet, almost imperceptible signal from you. A low whistle that is more a breath than a sound. Pip understands. He moves to the back of the now gathered flock, a dark, silent shadow against the paler grass, and with a gentle, persistent pressure that only the sheep can feel, he encourages them to move forward, to follow you into the night. The journey begins. At first, there is a soft cacophony of sound, the nervous, questioning bleats of the sheep, unsure why they are being moved from their resting place. The soft, shuffling, rustling sound of 200 small hooves moving through the dry grass, the gentle, occasional clink of a small iron bell worn by the old lead ewe. But soon the flock settles, the bleating subsides, and the sounds merge into a single, rhythmic, hypnotic shuffling. A soft river of wool flowing over the dark hills. The path you take is not a path at all, in the modern sense. There are no fences, no gravel, no clear-worn track. You are following an ancient drover's road, a green road, a broad, grassy highway that runs along the high, dry ridge of the hills. For centuries, shepherds and drovers have used these same high routes to move their flocks and herds across the country, avoiding the boggy, wooded, and more populated valleys below. The road is invisible to a stranger's eye, but you know it by the feel of the turf beneath your feet, by the shape of the land, and, most importantly, by the map of the stars above you. Tonight, your main guide is the great, shimmering, silver river of the Milky Way. It stretches across the entire sky, a magnificent, dusty band of countless distant suns. You know that as long as you keep this celestial river on your right shoulder, you are heading north, towards the sheltered valley and the new pasture. It is a compass more reliable than any man-made device. You look up and greet your other old, familiar friends in the sky. You know their proper names from the almanacs the vicar sometimes shows you. Orion, Cassiopeia, Pleiades. But you have your own names for them, the names that shepherds have used for generations. You see the 3 bright stars of Orion's belt, and you call it the shepherd's staff. You see the bright, twinkling cluster of the Pleiades, and you call it the swarm of bees, a reminder of the hives that a good pasture can support. And the great, sprawling constellation of Cygnus the Swan you call the Great Gate, for it marks the entrance to the part of the sky where the Milky Way is brightest, the gateway to the deepest part of your journey tonight. As you walk, your gaze falls upon a dark, solitary shape on the horizon, silhouetted against the brilliant stars. It is a standing stone, a menhir, a single, great finger of granite pointing to the heavens, placed here by people from a time so ancient it has no name. As you draw closer, you walk around its base, placing a hand on its cold, rough surface, which is covered in a tapestry of lichen. You wonder at the people who raised this stone. Archaeologists and astronomers of the future will debate the precise celestial alignments of these prehistoric sites, arguing whether they were calendars or temples or tombs. But you feel a simple, direct connection to those ancient people. They stood on this same hill under these same eternal stars, and they too used the sky as their map, their clock, and their church. You feel a deep, quiet kinship with their ancient, silent wisdom. You leave the stone behind and continue your journey, the soft shuffling of the flock, a constant, rhythmic presence behind you. Your partner in this journey, Pip, is a marvel of silent, effortless work. He moves like a dark phantom, flitting from one side of the flock to the other, his paws making no sound on the soft turf. He does not bark or nip. He uses only his presence, his speed, and his famous, intense herding eye. You watch as a young, foolish ewe begins to stray from the path. Pip is there in an instant. He does not chase her. He simply gets ahead of her, crouches low to the ground, and fixes her with his hypnotic, unblinking stare. The ewe stops, mesmerized, and after a moment's hesitation, she turns and rejoins the safety of the flock. Pip has spoken a whole paragraph of commands without making a single sound. The pace of your journey is slow, and it is dictated not by you, but by the flock. You move at the speed of the oldest, most tired ewe. There is no sense of hurry. The night is long and peaceful. This slow, steady, rhythmic pace is the very heart of the journey. It allows the sheep to move without stress, to graze a little as they go. It allows you to become a part of the night, to sink into its deep, quiet rhythm. The air is cool and clean in your lungs. The world is reduced to the simple, essential elements. The feel of your wooden crook in your hand, the smell of the sheep and the damp earth, the vast, silent, glittering dome of the sky above you, and the quiet, constant, trusting presence of your dog at your heels. There is a deep, profound peace in this simplicity. You look up at the great silver river of stars, your celestial guide, and you feel a sense of rightness, a deep confirmation that your decision to move the flock tonight was the correct one. The world of men of villages and farms and worries is asleep down in the valleys below. Up here, on the roof of the world, you are in a different kingdom, a kingdom of silence, of stars, and of ancient quiet work. The first leg of your journey is well underway, the flock moving as a single, peaceful body across the high, dark hills, and you, their humble guardian. Feel a contentment so deep and so pure, it feels like a quiet prayer. You continue your slow, steady walk along the high, dark ridge for what feels like a long time. The great river of the Milky Way continues its slow, majestic pivot across the sky above you, and your flock flows just as silently and as steadily across the dark land below. The air is cool and still, and you are wrapped in a profound and peaceful silence. But after another hour of walking, a new sound begins to enter your quiet world. At first, it is just a faint, high-pitched murmur, almost too soft to be distinguished from the gentle sighing of the night breeze. But as you continue along the ancient drover's road, the sound grows steadily louder, becoming a clear, musical, and deeply comforting sound. It is the sound of running water, the gentle, happy, babbling voice of a mountain stream. You know this stream well. It marks the halfway point of your journey. The old road descends slightly here, dipping into a shallow valley before rising again to the next ridge. And at the bottom of this dip, the road crosses the stream at a wide, shallow ford. As you approach, the scent of the air changes. It becomes cooler, damper, and carries the clean green smell of moss and watercress. The starlight glints and glitters on the surface of the moving water, making the stream look like a ribbon of black silk embroidered with 1,000 tiny, shattered diamonds. The pebbles on the stream bed are smooth and dark, washed clean by the constant flow. It is a place of great peace and beauty, but for your flock, it is a place of great suspicion. As you reach the water's edge, the steady forward momentum of the flock ceases. The lead ewe. An old wise matriarch who has made this journey many times stops abruptly, her small hooves planted firmly on the grassy bank. The sheep behind her stop as well, bumping into each other, their soft, shuffling progress dissolving into a nervous, milling confusion. A few low, questioning bleats ripple through the flock. You know the reason for their hesitation? It is an ancient, instinctual fear. Shepherds have known for centuries that sheep are deeply afraid of running water. They cannot see the bottom, and they fear the current will sweep their heavy, woolen bodies away. They see the stream not as a source of life-giving water, but as a dangerous, moving barrier. You cannot force them across. To try and drive them with shouts or with a nipping dog would only cause panic, and a panicked flock is a dangerous thing. No, you must persuade them. And to persuade the flock, you must first persuade their leader. You walk to the front of the flock and stand beside the old lead ewe. You rest your hand on the thick, greasy wool of her back, a gesture of reassurance. "It's all right, old girl," you murmur, your voice a low, calm rumble. "It's just the beck. It is shallow here, I know the way." You speak to her as you would to a person, your tone conveying a calm confidence that you hope she will understand. You take your tall shepherd's crook, and you step into the stream yourself. The water is icy cold, and it swirls around your thick leather boots, but it only comes halfway to your knees. It is perfectly safe. You stand in the middle of the stream and look back at her, encouraging her with a soft click of your tongue. She looks at you, her yellow, sideways slitted eyes seeming to weigh your reassurance against her deep, instinctual fear. She takes a half step forward, then hesitates, pulling back at the last moment. Now Bner. Now it is Pip's turn. You give him no command, no whistle. He has been watching the entire exchange, and he understands precisely what is needed. He does not rush forward. He does not bark. He begins a slow, deliberate, and beautiful piece of work. He trots silently to a position directly behind the old ewe. And then he lies down, his body low to the ground, his head up, his intelligent eyes fixed on the back of the ewe's legs. He applies a gentle, almost invisible pressure, not with his body, but with his focused will. He is using his famous herding eye, that hypnotic, commanding stare. He lets out a single, low, soft whine, a sound that is not a threat, but a plea, a question. Are we not going forward? The master is waiting. The old ewe stands her ground for another long moment. It is a silent battle of wills. The ancient fear of the water against the deep, trusting bond she has with you and your dog. Finally, the trust wins. With a small, resigned bleat, she takes the plunge. She takes one cautious, splashing step into the stream, then another. The water swirls around her legs, but she holds her ground, her footing sure. She is a herdwick, a breed known for its hardiness and its sure-footedness on the fells and hills, and her instincts for balance are strong. Her brave first step is the key that unlocks the whole puzzle. Animal behaviorists of the future will study the phenomenon of social facilitation in sheep, debating the precise mechanisms that cause the action of a single animal to trigger a response in the entire flock. But you are seeing it in its purest form. As soon as the other sheep see their leader safely in the water, their own fear begins to subside. A few of the other, braver sheep move forward to follow her, and then the trickle becomes a flood. The entire flock surges forward, a great woolly river pouring into the shallow, babbling stream. The quiet of the night is replaced by a symphony of splashing water and the soft, jostling bleats of the sheep as they make their way across the ford. You and Pip stand on the bank, watching them, ensuring none of them stumble or are left behind. They all reach the other side safely, and there, on the far bank, they stop to drink, their heads bowed to the cool, clear, star-dusted water. It is a beautiful, peaceful sight. The small challenge of the journey has been overcome, not with force, but with a quiet conversation between a man, a dog, and a wise old sheep. When they have all drunk their fill, you and Pip cross the stream to join them. You give the lead ewe another fond pat on her woolly back. "Good girl," you whisper. "You are the bravest of them all." You give Pip's head a good, vigorous scratch behind the ears, his reward for a perfect piece of work. He looks up at you, his tail giving a single, happy thump, thump against the ground. The flock is refreshed now, their thirst quenched. They are calm and ready to continue. You take up your position at their head once more, and with a soft call, you lead them away from the stream, up the gentle slope of the far bank, and back onto the high, silent, grassy road, leaving the sound of the babbling water behind you as you continue your slow and peaceful journey under the vast and watchful canopy of the stars. Leaving the musical sound of the stream behind, you guide your flock up the gentle slope of the next hill, rejoining the high, grassy drover's road. The sheep, their thirst quenched, move with a renewed, placid energy, their woolly bodies a single, slow-moving river under the vast, silent sea of stars. The world is deeply peaceful, wrapped in the cool, profound quiet of the deep night. You fall into the familiar, meditative rhythm of the walk, your thoughts as quiet and as vast as the landscape around you. You are so lost in the peace of the journey that you almost don't notice it at first. It is not a sound or a sight that alerts you. It is a change in Pip. He is trotting, as always, a few paces ahead of you, but his body is no longer relaxed. His tail is no longer held in its usual easy curve. It is now low and stiff. His head is down, his ears are pricked forward, and you can feel, more than hear, a low guttural rumble originating deep in his chest. It is a growl so low it is like the vibration of a distant earthquake. You stop immediately. The flock, sensing the sudden tension in their guardians, also comes to a shuffling, uneasy halt behind you. You place a hand on Pip's head, a silent question. His body is rigid, a coiled spring of pure, focused attention. His gaze is locked on a dark patch of heather and gorse about 50 yards to the right of your path. This is the silent, secret language that exists between a shepherd and his dog. Animal communication specialists of the future will debate the full spectrum of subtle signaling between a working dog and its handler, but you live it every day. You know that this specific posture, this almost inaudible growl, is not a sign of aggression towards the sheep. It is a warning, a clear and unambiguous message. Danger, predator, watch. You follow his intense gaze, your own eyes scanning the deep, moonless shadows of the heath. For a long moment, you see nothing but the dark, indistinct shapes of the low-growing shrubs. Your eyes, though old, are sharp and accustomed to the nuances of the night. And then you see it, a flicker of movement, and then two small, sharp, intelligent points of amber light catching and reflecting the distant starlight. They are the eyes of a fox. He is sitting very still, partially concealed by a gorse bush, his handsome reddish coat a perfect camouflage against the dark heather. He is watching your flock. In these hills, since the last of the great wolves were hunted centuries ago, the fox is the primary predator, the constant, cunning threat that every shepherd must guard against. He would not dare to take on a full-grown ewe, but he is watching for a straggler, a weak lamb, an opportunity. You know the folklore about the fox, the stories of Reynard, the clever, supernatural trickster who can outwit kings and noblemen. You look at the intelligent, watchful eyes across the dark expanse, and you feel a sense of respect for your adversary. He is not evil. He is a hunter, a provider for his own family, another creature of the night, driven by the same ancient imperatives of survival as you and your flock. But this flock is yours to protect. A silent, tense standoff begins. The night, which was so peaceful a moment ago, is now charged with a quiet, primal drama. Pip does not bark, he does not charge. To do so would be a novice's mistake. It would send a wave of blind panic through the flock, scattering them across the hills in the darkness, which is the very thing the fox is hoping for. Instead, he holds his ground, a silent, black statue of controlled menace. He does not take his eyes off the fox for a single instant. The low, rumbling growl continues in his chest, a constant, vibrating threat that travels across the still night air. His message is clear, ancient, and requires no translation. This flock is mine. It is protected. There is no meal for you here. Go! You stand beside him, your hand resting on the tense muscles of his shoulder, your presence a silent reinforcement of his threat. You grip your heavy shepherd's crook, its smooth, worn wood, a solid, reassuring weight in your hand. You are a team, a man and a dog, the ancient, formidable partnership that has protected sheep in these hills for thousands of years. You do not move, you simply watch, and you wait. The fox, for its part, remains perfectly still, a beautiful wild statue in the starlight. He is making his calculations. He is a creature of immense cunning, an expert in risk and reward. He sees the large, huddled flock, a tempting prize, but he also sees the two dark, unmoving figures at its head. He sees the dog, a silent, coiled spring of focused power, and he sees the tall shepherd, a still and watchful guardian. He understands the risk is too high, the reward is not worth the fight that would surely follow. This is not easy prey. After a long minute that stretches into an eternity, the fox makes its decision. The two amber points of light blink once, and then they are gone. There is no sound, no rustle of leaves. The fox simply melts back into the deep shadows of the heather and disappears, as if he were never there at all, a ghost of a threat that has now faded back into the night. Pip remains rigid for another full minute, his senses still scanning the darkness, ensuring the danger has truly passed. Then, with a great shuddering sigh, he releases the tension from his body. He gives himself a quick shake, from the tip of his nose to the end of his tail, as if to shake off the last vestiges of the confrontation. He looks up at you, his task complete, his eyes asking for approval. "Good lad, Pip," you whisper, your voice a low rumble. "Good lad." You kneel down and give his head a vigorous, affectionate scratch behind the ears. He leans into your touch, his tail now giving a few slow, happy thumps against the ground. The flock, sensing that the silent tension has passed, begins to stir, the nervous energy replaced by their usual placid calm. You stand up and look out over the dark, empty moor. You feel a new sense of quiet pride. You have protected your flock. You and your partner have faced a wild and cunning creature of the night, and have won, not with violence or with noise, but with a silent, steady show of strength and purpose. You give Pip one last, reassuring pat, and you take up your place at the head of the flock once more. With a soft call, you start them moving again, their 200 small hooves once more, making a soft, shuffling river of sound in the night. The journey continues, the brief, tense drama now over. The peace of the night returns, but it is a deeper, more meaningful peace now, underscored by a fresh awareness of the dangers that walk in the darkness, and by the profound, unspoken, and unbreakable bond of trust between a shepherd and his clever, watchful dog. After the silent tension of the encounter with the fox, The peaceful, rhythmic plodding of the journey feels even more comforting. You guide your flock along the high, dark ridge, the vast, star-dusted bowl of the sky, your only ceiling. After another hour of walking, you see your planned resting place ahead, silhouetted against the brilliant backdrop of the Milky Way. It is a circle of great, dark stones, standing like silent, sleeping giants on the very crest of the hill. This is the Shepherd's Crown, as it is known to the local folk, an ancient stone circle left here by people from the dawn of time. It is your destination for your mid-journey rest, a place of shelter and profound peace. As you draw closer, you slow your pace, and Pip, understanding your intent, gently begins to guide the flock towards the opening in the circle. You enter the sacred space. The air inside the ring of stones seems immediately different, quieter, stiller, sheltered from the faint night breeze. The turf underfoot is soft and springy. The great stones themselves, weathered by thousands of years of wind and rain, seem to radiate a deep, ancient calm. The sheep, sensing the safety and stillness of the enclosure, cease their nervous milling and begin to settle down almost immediately, their soft, woolly bodies creating a warm, living carpet on the ground. Many of them fold their legs beneath them and sink to the earth with soft sighs of contentment. You walk to the center of the circle and run your hand over one of the great standing stones. It is cool and rough, covered in a complex, map-like pattern of gray and white lichen. You think of the old folk tales your grandmother used to tell you about this place, that these are not stones at all, but a group of proud giants who were turned to stone by a powerful magician for dancing on a holy day. On certain nights of the year, the legend says, you can still hear the faint, ghostly echo of their music on the wind. You do not hear any music tonight, but you feel a sense of ancient, watchful company. You settle down with your back against the largest of the stones, pulling your thick woolen coat tighter around you. Pip curls up at your feet, his work done for the moment, and rests his head on his paws, though you know his ears are still attuned to every sound. You look up at the sky. From inside the circle, the view is framed by the dark, upright stones. It feels as if you are in a great, roofless cathedral. And you notice, as you have many times before, the way the stones seem to have been placed with a deep, celestial purpose. One tall, thin stone seems to align perfectly with the North Star. A wide gap between two other stones creates a perfect window through which you can see your shepherd's staff constellation rising in the east. Archaeologists and archaeoastronomers of the future will debate the precise celestial alignments of these prehistoric sites, but sitting here, you need no scientific proof. You can feel it. You are sitting inside an ancient clock, a calendar, a map of the heavens built by people who understood the sky as well as you understand your own flock. The sheep are all settled now, a sea of quiet, breathing wool in the starlight. To keep them calm, to soothe them into a deeper rest, before the final leg of the journey, you begin your nightly ritual. You begin to tell them a story. Your voice is a low, soft, rhythmic murmur, not much louder than the sigh of the wind. The words themselves do not matter to the sheep. It is the tone, the familiar, gentle cadence of your voice that soothes them, that tells them their shepherd is here, that all is well. Tonight, you tell your favorite story, a very old tale about a shepherd boy who fell in love with a star. In the time of the old kings, you begin, your voice a low chant, there was a young shepherd who guarded his flock on these very hills. And every night he would look up at one particular star, a star that shone with a brighter, purer, more silver light than all the others, and he fell in love with its beauty. You tell how the shepherd boy would sing songs to his star, how he would tell it stories of his day. And one night, on Midsummer's Eve, when the veil between the worlds is thin, he saw his star fall from the sky. He ran across the hills and found not a fallen stone, but a beautiful woman with hair like silver moonlight and eyes that held the light of the entire night sky. She was the Star Maiden, and she had heard his songs and had come down to see the boy, whose heart was so full of gentle love. You tell how they spent the night together, walking the hills, and how she had to leave at dawn to return to her place in the heavens. But before she left, she gave him a gift, a single tiny lamb, its fleece as white as a cloud and as soft as starlight. This lamb, the story goes, was the ancestor of your own flock, the reason their wool is so fine and so prized. You finish your tale, and your voice fades into the deep, profound silence of the stone circle. The story, a simple, gentle fantasy, has worked its magic. The entire flock is now at rest. Many of the sheep are fast asleep. They are breathing a soft, collective sigh. The only movement is the gentle twitch of an ear, the soft chewing of cud. You look around at your sleeping charges, all safe and sound within this ancient circle of protection. You think of the fox you saw earlier. Here, inside this sacred space, you feel utterly safe. The dangers of the wild, dark world outside cannot touch you. You are resting in a place of deep, ancient peace. You allow yourself to rest for a full hour, your own head leaning back against the cold, solid stone, your eyes half closed as you watch the great, silent turning of the stars above. But you know you cannot stay forever. The new pasture is still an hour's walk away, and you must arrive by dawn. With a soft sigh, you rouse yourself. "Come on, old boy," you whisper to Pip, gently nudging him with your boot. He is instantly awake, on his feet, ready for work. You stand up and stretch your stiff limbs. Before you leave, you walk to the great central stone of the circle, and you place a small, smooth white pebble you have been carrying in your pocket on its flat top. It is a small, silent offering, a gesture of thanks to the old stones and to the old spirits of this place for granting you a safe and peaceful rest. Then, with a low whistle to Pip, the process of waking the flock begins again, as gently and as quietly as putting them to sleep. They rise, stretching their legs, and with a few soft calls, you lead them out of the stone circle and back onto the starlit drover's road, ready and refreshed for the final part of your long night's journey. You leave the ancient, silent company of the stone circle behind you and begin the final leg of your long night's journey. The path now leads you gently downwards, off the high, windswept ridge and into the sheltered arms of the next valley. As you descend, the air grows subtly warmer, and the scent changes. The clean, sharp scent of the high moorland is replaced by the richer, damper smell of thicker soil and more verdant growth. The stars above you, which have been your constant, brilliant companions all night, begin to fade. The great celestial clock is turning towards a new day. In the east, behind the dark silhouette of the distant hills, the deep, inky blackness of the sky begins to soften to a bruised, velvety purple. Then a thin, almost imperceptible line of the palest, most delicate pink appears, like a single thread of silk stretched along the horizon. The dawn is coming. You walk on, the soft, shuffling sound of your flock, the only sound in the world. The birds are not yet singing. The world is holding its breath, waiting for the sun. The beauty of this moment, this quiet, sacred transition between the night and the day, fills you with a deep sense of peace. You are one of the few people in the world to be awake and moving in this magical, in-between time. Just as the first brilliant, golden edge of the sun appears over the hills, flooding the valley with a warm, gentle light, you arrive. You have reached the new pasture. It is a wide, lush meadow, nestled in a protective bowl between the hills. A small, clear stream, the same one you crossed hours ago, further up the mountain, meanders through its center. The grass here is thick, green, and heavy with morning dew. In the first rays of the sun, every single blade of grass, every spider's web, is adorned with 1,000,000 tiny, glittering diamonds of water. At the edge of the pasture is a simple wooden gate. You lean your crook against the stone wall and lift the heavy wooden latch. The gate swings open with a soft, familiar creak. Now for the final act of the journey. You step aside and give Pip a low, soft whistle. He understands. He moves to the back of the flock, and with a series of gentle, persuasive movements, he guides the sheep through the gateway and into the new pasture. The sheep, who have been patient and quiet all night, seem to sense they have arrived at their promised land. As they step onto the rich, dew-soaked grass, a new energy runs through them. They spread out across the meadow, and a new sound fills the air. It is the soft, rhythmic, tearing sound of many happy sheep taking their first bites of the sweet, fresh grass. Rip, tear, crop. It is the sound of contentment. It is the sound of a journey's end. Your work is done. You watch them for a few moments, your heart full. You see the old, wise lead ewe who bravely crossed the stream for you. You see the young, mischievous lambs from the spring, kicking up their heels with a sudden burst of energy. And you see all the others, each one a familiar face to you. A shepherd, a true shepherd, knows his sheep. You know the one with the black patch over her left eye, the one who is always the first to find the best patch of clover, the one who always stays close to her twin. They are not just a flock to you, they are your family. You feel a deep, bone-deep weariness settle over you now, the good, honest exhaustion of a long night's work. You shrug the heavy satchel from your shoulders and lay it on the ground. You find a comfortable spot on a sunny, moss-covered bank that overlooks the meadow, and you sit down, leaning back against the sun-warmed earth. Peep, his own work complete, trots over and collapses at your feet with a contented sigh, his head resting on his paws. You take out the last of your bread and cheese, and you share it with him, a silent, comradely breakfast for two. As you eat, you look out over the beautiful, peaceful scene, the open pasture, the grazing sheep, the rolling hills. This landscape is a partnership. Agricultural historians of the future will debate the full ecological impact of pastoral farming on these upland areas, questioning whether the grazing of sheep over centuries created this beautiful, open landscape or prevented the forests from returning. But for you, it is simply home. It is a landscape that has been shaped by generations of shepherds like yourself. A quiet collaboration between humans, their animals, and the land. You are a custodian of this place, a part of its long, unbroken history. You think of the ancient drovers' roads you have walked tonight, a remnant of an older time before the great enclosure acts fenced off so much of the common land. Your own journey through the night feels like an act of remembrance, a way of keeping that older, freer way of life alive. The sun is higher now, its warmth spreading through your tired limbs. The last of the morning mist in the valley below has burned away. The world is bright and clean and new. You lie back on the mossy bank, your hat tilted over your eyes to shield them from the sun. Your flock is safe, they are fed, and they are at peace. For a shepherd there is no greater reward. The image of the sun-drenched pasture, filled with your quietly grazing sheep, now begins to soften and blur. The gentle rhythmic sound of their cropping at the sweet grass becomes a peaceful, lulling mantra. Let the feeling of the warm sun on your skin, of the deep, satisfying weariness in your bones, of a long night's journey brought to a perfect, peaceful end, settle over you. Now the stars have gone to bed, the sun is awake, and the shepherd and his dog can finally rest. There is nothing more to do, no more paths to walk. There is only the deep, quiet contentment of a job well done. Allow that profound and simple peace to be your guide. Now, as you leave the sunlit English pasture behind and drift slowly, so slowly, into the deep, green, and well-deserved country of your own dreams.